morning, guys. It is 6 a.m. on a Saturday. I am on call this holiday weekend all the way through Memorial Day on Monday, and I thought maybe I can film and bring you guys along to see how it goes. So normally Saturday mornings are for our post-op checks from Friday, but I was called in for an emergency surgery, so that's where I'm heading right now. All right, let's go. It's a couple hours later. I'm cleaning up. Everything went fine. It was a little bit not as smooth as normal. Sometimes patient anatomy complicates things, but generally everything was smooth. So I'm just gonna pack my bag and head out and go home until I get paged for the next thing. And by packing my bags, I literally mean packing my bags. This is a smaller hospital than the one I normally go to. It's more out west. And with smaller hospitals that we cover, we actually bring in our own equipment and we bring in our own devices. And they don't have them on the shelf like they would in my main hospital that I cover. So I literally bring luggage in. This is my favorite part. And then ripping the masks off. I already took my mask off. This is my outside mask because we are in the age of the coronavirus pandemic, so we're always wearing masks. All right, I'm getting ready to go. I was gonna go back home, but I just got paged again for another hospital. So this time it's just a check, but they're going to send it remotely, and if everything is okay, then I don't have to go in person or change it. Hey, how's it going? I'm on call all weekend. Nothing, no episodes, everything, thresholds are good, numbers look good. He's sinus on his own. Good, good. And I'll fax it over. Where do you want me to fax it to? So I don't have to go in. Everything is fine. Everyone's happy about it, especially with the pandemic. Yeah, let's go home. I was just about to take a nap because that's what I do when I come home from early morning call. But I just got paged to go to another hospital for an ER check. Patient with a recent pacemaker implant presents to the ER with heart rates in the 40s is never good news. Actually, their wire's completely dislodged. So that's gonna be surgical intervention to reposition it. But it's not gonna happen today. So that might be another surgery this weekend. But right now, I'm already on the road back home. It's 11 p.m. on Sunday. So I'm more than halfway through my call, and I've had pretty quiet in the sense of I don't have to go in person. Yesterday, after I finally came back home, I did get a couple of pages, but they were remote checks. A couple in the afternoon.
Emergency, how can I help you?
And then one late at night, almost at midnight, that I was sure I would have to go in for because the patient had multiple shocks. But it ended up that they were stable and getting admitted anyway, so I didn't have to go in for that. Yeah, so the patient had 10 VF episodes, shocked 6 times. And then today at around 7 a.m. I was woken up with 2 more remote transmissions that ended up being completely fine. And then I had, I think, 2 other ones in the afternoon, and I just got paged for one now. So all of these remote checks, maybe not even a year ago, would have been an in-person check. I'm in my pajamas on my bed, literally, and I can check on the status of the patient. And of course, if there's something that requires me to go in, I can then make the trip. Okay, so they tested negative for COVID. Okay. All right, I was just called in to check a patient's pacemaker, but they're in the COVID unit. So I called to see if they are still COVID positive, which they are not. They just tested negative, but it's still on the COVID floor. And just a precaution,
I wanted to make sure they had PPE for me before I went in there. So let's go. It's much later now. I'm back home. It's been, I can't say because the jinx is real. I'm home, and I actually heard back from that ER patient earlier, the one who's gonna need surgery. They are gonna go later in the week, so I'm not worrying about that for today, which is good, but I'm still on call, so anything can pop up. I thought I can go over a little bit more about what I actually do in surgery and the technical parts of my job, because I've been getting a lot of questions on that. So we are in the OR during surgery, but we don't like scrub in or do anything or touch the patient. I'm usually there at the foot of the bed with my computer and all my equipment, getting ready for the case. So before the case starts, we discuss with the doctor the indications for the device, what kind of device they're getting. We program. I have a computer that's specialized to communicate with these devices, and we can set up parameters and programming measures that would best fit what the patient needs based on their indication. So this is like a really shitty, really anatomically incorrect heart view. This is going to be the right atrium, this is the right ventricle. The wires come through from the vein. The doctor puts the wire down to the heart into the right ventricle, usually in the apex, sometimes in the septum, and then they have literal alligator clips. So this is kind of outside the body. They have literal, good thing I don't do art. Let's just pretend these are clips, right? And these clips are given to me with my computer. Good job. All right. From there, from these clips, I can test the area in the heart where the lead is. I can map the area, measure the QRS. So we won't want to measure the QRS when we're in the ventricle, and we want to measure the P wave when we're in the atrium, and that is basically an electrical signal that we want to make sure we see it appropriately. We also measure the impedance, which is the electrical resistance of the wire. This confirms whether we have good contact with the cardiac muscle, and we also want to make sure it's stable. So we take multiple measurements, and that also tests the integrity of the wire and of the lead. And then finally, we measure something called threshold, which is the voltage at a pulse width that is required to make the heart contract, to polarize the heart and make the heart pump. And this also helps confirm that we're in a good position of the heart. So these are all, I guess, the technical points of it. When we're implanting, standard dual chamber pacemaker, another wire goes into the atrium, usually in the appendage. We test it too. There's actually a lot of these wires, the most common used ones, have screws at the end of them, so it gets screwed into the heart. We watch all of this via fluoroscopy, which is live x-ray essentially, and that's how we can confirm the position and make sure everything is okay. And then through my computer and electrically, we test all the parameters to make sure it's okay. After the case is done, we go back and check it again, but this time through the implanted device. And then after that, there are algorithms that we can turn on. Obviously, for a defibrillator, it's even more detailed. There's a lot more programming to go to because defibrillators treat arrhythmias, so we have to set up parameters for it to treat it appropriately. Yeah. I don't want to bore you guys with all of this extra stuff, but I just get a lot of question about like the technical parts of it. So I guess it's kind of a lot of electrical programming aspects of it, but you know, there's the technical part too, there's material parts, and then there's the medical part. So it's a perfect marriage of the both. So that's it. I'm in bed watching Netflix. The rest of the day has been pretty, don't want to use the Q word, but because we're very superstitious here. Yeah, so that's basically what an on-call weekend, on-call holiday weekend looks like. This was Memorial Day weekend on call, which I've actually never done before, and it wasn't so bad. I usually do Christmas, or last year I also did 4th of July, which was horrible. Like, it was so busy. This wasn't too bad.
I think maybe the pandemic as well, people maybe are still scared to go into the hospital. So I don't know, that had an effect on it. But thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.